We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it.
This Turning Point conference, the were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs, and the cigar.
I think it's important that every single person that attended that Turning Point, every Republican speak up against these against the flags that were waved.
You let them in.
President, open your
You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit.
But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say.
Joe Rogan just dropped a brutal takedown on the View hosts. And trust me, this isn't your typical daytime chit-chat. Why? Because Charlie Kirk has just hit them with a massive $100 million lawsuit, and things are getting seriously heated. Think you've witnessed drama before? Think again. This is chaos served with a heavy dose of Rogan's trademark no-holds-barred honesty. Stay tuned. Once Joe gets rolling, there's no stopping the heat. You gotta hear this.
Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept the View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there, of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country, that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked.
So, Charlie Kirk just threw down the gauntlet with a $100 million lawsuit against the View hosts. Yep, you heard that right. $100 million, no typo. When your name's being tossed around on daytime TV like yesterday's trash and you've got the bankroll to back it up, you don't just sit back and sip chamomile tea, you go full nuclear.
I mean, the View has to be, if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked and you went on stage with it and it's nothing
just
there.
Go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there. Sometimes comics do that.
The lawsuit isn't just a tantrum. It's a statement with a multi-million-dollar price tag. Apparently, The View treated Charlie Kirk like it was open season, throwing accusations around like Oprah's giveaway cars. Everyone got accused. But when Kirk pushes back, suddenly it turns into a full-blown legal circus.
Now we begin with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced who showed up outside the event.
The View hosts, still spinning their usual daytime drama, probably clutching their pearls and acting like it's just a little misunderstanding over a tweet gone wrong. But nope, it's a $100 million misunderstanding. This kind of lawsuit makes your average reality show feud look like a playground fight over crayons.
Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said
on television.
Let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything.
Yeah.
You know what Joe Biden could do since he is president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in jail.
And then Joe Rogan steps in, because who else? The guy who turned podcasting into a contact sport drops not just a comment, but a whole truckload of sarcasm on the mess. Watching Rogan mock The View hosts is like seeing a grizzly bear give a TED talk on how to eat honey better than a bee. It's brutal, unexpected, and oddly satisfying. Picture this. The guy who usually debates alien conspiracies and MMA fighters casually roasting the daytime TV queens for their performative outrage and fake seriousness. It's like watching a master chef critique a microwave meal, deliciously savage. Why does Rogan's burn hit so hard? Because he's not playing their game. The View hosts run around like it's a soap opera, throwing shade but never stepping into the ring. Meanwhile, Rogan's throwing haymakers of blunt truth and laughing as they scramble to keep up. The View's whole brand is loud opinions, but when legal muscle swings back, suddenly the volume drops. The irony? Talking big but folding when it counts. Rogan sees it all and isn't holding back, calling out how the hosts love to call out everyone else's bad behavior while dodging accountability like it's an Olympic sport.
Welcome back. In Monday's conversation about Turning Point USA, I put the young people at the conference in the same category as the protesters outside. And I don't like it when people make assumptions about me, and it's not any better when I make assumptions about other people, which I did. So, my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk isn't just brandishing his $100 million lawsuit like a trophy. He's making a bold statement about media accountability in a time when it feels like anyone can smear whoever they want on national TV. That's where this whole saga gets really interesting. The View hosts might think they're untouchable daytime divas, but Kirk's lawsuit is basically a legal mic drop, a very loud and very expensive one. This isn't just drama, it's a wild mix of media, money, and madness. On one side, you've got a panel built on outrage and hot takes, treating legal risks like background noise. On the other, a conservative activist with deep pockets saying, "Not on my watch," and backing it up with 100 million reasons why. Joe Rogan's savage mockery shines a spotlight on how absurd this all looks from the outside. The hosts act like they're perched on some moral high ground, but when someone pushes back, they get squirmy. Rogan's humor cuts through the chaos, revealing that maybe the moral high ground isn't so high when it's littered with lawsuits. This whole drama isn't just about clashing personalities. It's a snapshot of today's media world, where lawsuits are the new weapon, outrage is the currency, and everyone's just waiting for the next juicy scandal to drop.
The culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stop looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, right. whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do, and no one's critically thinking about this.
Joe Rogan is the gateway drug for young men that thought they were Democrats to become MAGA. Joe Rogan is the bridge, and on that bridge they'll see RFK, they'll see Elon Musk.
The View hosts find themselves trapped in a chaotic crossfire where their usual strategy, shout first, face consequences later, is being rewritten by legal documents and court dates. Just when the lawsuit rattles their daytime chatterboxes, Joe Rogan's brutal takedown feels like salt in a fresh wound they didn't even know they had. His sharp wit and no-holds-barred style highlight how the show's serious discussions often teeter on farce, especially when facing someone who's ready to fight back hard. For years, the hosts have thrived on a cocktail of theatrical outrage and selective attacks, carefully choosing their targets while keeping their own hands clean. But Kirk's lawsuit, combined with Rogan's ruthless commentary, shine a harsh light on this selective justice, great for ratings until it starts threatening the bottom line. Meanwhile, viewers are stuck in the middle, witnessing what feels like a daytime TV meltdown with a multi-million-dollar price tag and a podcast comedian unexpectedly playing referee. It's messy, absurd, and exactly the kind of media circus you can't stop watching. The View's silence in response to Rogan's mockery speaks volumes. No fiery comebacks, no quick commercial breaks, just a brewing storm behind the scenes. Because you can shout all you want on live TV, but when lawsuits flood your inbox and Joe Rogan's roast goes viral, the game changes entirely.
I think the problem with that show is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. You know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her. And, you know, they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's just, it's a bizarre show.
This lawsuit isn't just another midday headline to skim over with your third cup of coffee. No, it's a glaring spotlight on the chaotic jungle of media polarization, where every insult acts like a grenade and every lawsuit feels like a missile launch. The clash between Charlie Kirk and The View isn't happening in a vacuum. It's smack in the middle of a culture so divided it might as well be a reality show called America, the Feud Edition. In today's world, lawsuits have become political weapons sharper than any tweet storm. Forget about settling petty neighborhood disputes. Now it's all about dropping a $100 million lawsuit when you get called out on daytime TV. It's a power move, a reminder that cash speaks louder than ratings. If you can't win the argument live on camera, you just haul it into court and let the lawyers duke it out. This case perfectly illustrates how the legal system has turned into a gladiator arena for media battles, where public feuds escalate into multi-million-dollar wars. Only the richest gladiators survive. Media polarization only fans the flames of this circus. On one side, you've got mainstream outlets like The View, masters of performative outrage. Think of it as outrage theater, where the script's all about demonizing the other side.
Megan, I get it. I also hate Joy Behar, so I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird. So I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show. If the CIA is engineering, Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of, like, there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View. I mean, they have brought in the lowest tier of the, what is it, the Y chromosome?
No, double
the
X.
Okay.
Double X.
They brought in the lowest of the double X's for that one. It's rough.
On the other hand, you have conservative figures like Charlie Kirk, who've turned that outrage into a full-blown call to arms, rallying their followers with viral gotcha moments, and now high-stakes lawsuits. This isn't just a simple disagreement between two sides. It's a full-scale battle for control over public opinion, with the subtlety of a wrecking ball smashing through a glass factory. This whole saga feels like a mashup of a legal thriller, reality TV, and a circus sideshow. It's that strange mix where news plays out like theater, and theater tries to pass itself off as news. One minute you're hearing serious discussions, the next you're hit with a lawsuit storyline that sounds ripped straight from a Hollywood blockbuster script. The lines blur so much it's hard to tell whether you're supposed to be outraged, entertained, or just casually munching popcorn. And here's the kicker. The average viewer is left squinting at the chaos, struggling to separate fact from spectacle. The lawsuit, the mockery, the legal posturing, it's all part of a carefully crafted show designed to keep eyes glued to the screen. The View's courtroom drama and Joe Rogan's brutal roast aren't just random events, they're episodes in a never-ending soap opera starring politics, media, and money.
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here, because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right.
Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth.
So what's next in this wild roller coaster? Honestly, anything could happen, and probably will. Maybe The View hosts opt for a quiet settlement because nothing says damage control, like cutting a big check to make the whole mess disappear. Or this could drag out into a full-blown court battle, with every embarrassing email, tweet, and behind-the-scenes rant pulled into the spotlight. Imagine the discovery phase, a goldmine of juicy receipts spilling out faster than you can say, ratings boost. If it goes to court, expect less legal finesse and more grandstanding. Both sides will likely turn the courtroom into their own stage, complete with sound bites and strategic media leaks. The View might try to polish their image, tighten their scripts, and maybe tone down the drama, but don't bet on it. Drama is literally their bread and butter, and this lawsuit is just the latest cliffhanger in their ongoing saga. Meanwhile, social media will fan the flames like a pyromaniac with a flamethrower. Every meme, sarcastic tweet, and viral clip will be recycled non-stop, making sure no one forgets that daytime TV just went nuclear. And then there's Joe Rogan, the podcast king who's proven over and over he can turn any story into a viral wildfire. His mockery isn't just a one-time jab, it's a blazing signal flare, telling everyone watching that this feud isn't just daytime fluff, it's serious business.
Did you watch the episode when Tulsi Gabbard got on to defend herself and Joy Behar starts panicking and going over her notes while Tulsi is refuting everything that she said?
Yeah, I mean, Joy Behar, like, again, these people have dementia. These are people who, like, should not be allowed out of the house. They have a national platform. I mean, it is crazy. They have no idea. These people have never read, like, a book.
And there's versions of it.
This lawsuit is a perfect storm of unpredictability in a media landscape ruled by social media outrage and influencer clout. The old rules, tossed out. A single tweet can ignite a feud, a video can blow up overnight, and a podcast clip can turn a lawsuit into a nationwide punchline. No one knows exactly where this will go, but one thing's for sure, it won't be boring. This real-life soap opera has all the ingredients for a long, messy, wildly entertaining showdown. Millions are watching, dissecting, memeing, and debating every twist across platforms. The lawsuit saga isn't just about money or media. It's a front-row seat to how public disputes get weaponized, personalities clash, and the line between news and entertainment keeps fading away. In the battle of hashtags, lawsuits, and savage roasts, nobody's walking away quietly. With Joe Rogan's mic still hot and Charlie Kirk's legal team ready to rumble, the next act promises even more chaos, comedy, and courtroom fireworks. The big question, who's next to get roasted? What makes this so delicious is how fast the tables turn. One day you're calling the shots, the next you're dodging lawsuits and getting dragged on a podcast that usually covers elk hunting and UFOs. Karma's got a wicked sense of humor. So what does this mean for daytime TV and the culture wars? Maybe it's a reality check for those who think throwing shade and wild accusations come with zero consequences. Charlie Kirk's lawsuit is a financial slap saying opinions might be free, but accusations sure aren't. Joe Rogan's mockery? It's a blueprint for how media outsiders can hold the loudest voices accountable, with humor, biting commentary, and zero sugarcoating. No safe spaces, just unfiltered roast. In the end, this story is the perfect mix of media spectacle, legal drama, and pop culture theatrics. A conservative activist with deep pockets shaking up daytime TV, hosts who built empires on outrage, and a podcast titan unafraid to call them out. And we're all here, popcorn in hand, watching the chaos unfold. So next time The View hosts toss allegations like confetti, remember Charlie Kirk's $100 million lawsuit and Joe Rogan's brutal roast. Because in today's media battlefield, the loudest voice isn't always the most powerful. It's sometimes the one with the sharpest wit and the deepest pockets. And The View? They might want to rethink their strategy before the next lawsuit comes knocking, because Joe Rogan and Charlie Kirk just made clear daytime drama isn't just for ratings anymore, it's for keeps.